Hello, I am Matt Theriault of Epic Real Estate Investing, the Epic Real Estate Investing Show, and this is Thought Leader Thursday. So today I'm joined by a very successful entrepreneur. He's always aspired to live an upscale, lavish lifestyle depicted by characters that most of us only see on TV. And his family, though, on the other hand, had a very different type of lifestyle. And despite her best efforts, his wonderful mother couldn't climb out of a deep financial rut. So they were on food stamps, they were barely able to pay their rent, they struggled in poverty, they lived in a crummy apartment and even in a crummier neighborhood. It just gets worse and worse. And it bothered him. No, it angered him, knowing people out there lived lives of abundance while he lived a life of scarcity. But it all changed. We wouldn't have him on the show if it didn't, right? And he wants to share that with you. So lying in bed the day after graduation, he had a choice to make. Get a job like everybody else and play it safe, or set his sights high and just go for it, right? So he didn't toil with the decision, he didn't grapple with fear or worry about failing. In that moment, he knew that he had the ability to shape his destiny into whatever he wanted it to be. He knew he deserved more. We all deserve more. That his family deserved more. And so do you. And today, let's learn how to get it. So please help me welcome to Epic Real Estate Investing, Mr. Danny Morel. Danny, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to spend a couple moments with you and your audience, my friend.
Super. I'm excited to have you here as well, Danny. You know, we run in similar circles. We've got a bunch of mutual friends, but we've never really actually got to talk to each other much. And so let's take this opportunity to do that, and we'll try and create some magic at the same time. Sound good?
Sounds absolutely perfect.
Perfect. So, Danny, before we get into all of the big things that you're up to today, because you're really playing a big game in life, let's talk about your beginning, which was as a real estate agent. What were you doing just prior to getting involved as an agent, and how did that happen?
Prior to becoming a real estate agent, at the time I'm 18 years old or something, and it's funny the way kind of fate takes over. But I raised my younger brother, who now is very successful. He actually runs our real estate brokerage, but our dad wasn't around. So I was the one at 17, 16 years old going to all of the parent-teacher conferences. I was taking him to all of his little league practices. And at the time, there was this Mexican guy who had a tortilla delivery company. And he just kind of noticed this young kid who was, I guess, in his eyes, pretty responsible. And so he was leaving to Mexico, and he wanted someone to stay in charge of his home and his delivery route. And I'm not kidding you. He just pulled me aside and said, listen, I want you to take over my route for me. It'll pay you about $2,500 about $4,500 a month, a little over $1,000 a week. All I want, leave me a 10% commission on whatever you make. And I also want you to stay in my home and take care of my home. And like in hindsight, I don't know if I would ever do that with a 17, 18-year-old kid, but this guy did it with me. And he literally gave me his house and the keys to his truck, showed me the route. And sure enough, for an entire summer, I worked as a tortilla delivery person. And I did, I guess, such a great job that when he came back, he had 3 routes. He literally sold me one of them. And that was like my first business. And that's what I was doing prior to selling real estate.
Wow. I always love hearing people's stories. Tortilla delivery person, that's the first on the show. So there's all different ways and different walks of life that we all come from to get where we are. So what inspired you about real estate, and what inspired you to become an agent?
Happenstance. My goal was to buy us a home by the time I was 21. And so I wanted to get my family out of the ghetto. Like if anybody out there knows what Rialto, California is, there's a street down there called Jackson Street. That's the one street, I think, other than maybe Watts in California, that you don't want to live on. I lived on that street. So I wanted to get us out of the ghetto. And I set my eyes on the top of the neighborhood, the top of the city, which is kind of like our Beverly Hills. And I wanted to buy a house. So I happened to go on a day off that I had to a job fair, and there happened to be a real estate agent there. And I just started asking him some questions about how much money I needed for a down payment, whatever. And then I'll never forget, I asked him the magic question. I said, is there any money in real estate? He said, sure. And I said, tell you what, I work 6 days a week right now, but I want to work Sundays for you. And I'll even work for free. I don't want your money. I just want the knowledge, and I'll help you. And in exchange, I just want knowledge as to how to do that. And I say that, man, because for all your listeners, I really do believe that value is more important than cost or than the dollar. You and I are both a part of an organization where we'll pay whatever it takes because we're getting so much in return for that. And I think that entrepreneurs have a hard time with letting go of the dollar and with sowing into their future. And I never had a problem with that. Don't ask me why. I just at a young age understood like, the future is more important than what I feel right now or what I have to spend right now to get it.
That was what? How long ago? 15 years ago? 20 years ago?
20 years ago, yeah.
Okay. And today your real estate business looks like what?
Today, I'm a broker. I own Editorial Real Estate Services in Southern California. We've got 7 offices. And one of our offices, actually, if you look in the multiple listing service in Southern California, it's kind of cool because you see Realty One, Keller Williams, Century 21, and then you see this little company called Editorial that does not have a national brand. And so we're the number 3 office in the entire multiple listing service right now in all of Southern California. And I'm proud of that because it speaks to our culture, our training philosophy. So yeah, I'm really, really proud of that. We've got 7 offices, just over 400 agents, and about an agent and a half a day joins our company right now. Close to 2 agents a day join the company right now. Yeah.
That's amazing. Congratulations, bud. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So you are a very successful real estate broker, but Danny, you're also an author, you're a coach, you're a host, you're a trainer. Which one of those titles right there are the most important to you and why?
The most important title would be life changer. Again, I don't know why. I'm just wired this way. I can remember being that poor kid in the ghetto, and I can remember wanting to do more and become more. And yet, to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't see anybody in my family who was achieving more. And so that bothered me. I just started to think like, why is it that if I watch TV, I see these kids that, in high school are driving these nice cars and live in these beautiful homes. And like nobody in my life has that. Like I couldn't find the proof. And I went out and sought the proof, and I went out and sought the lessons, and I went out and paid for the coaching, and I went out and went to the seminars, and I went out and I read the books. And so now I kind of feel like God has given me this gift that now I have to utilize to help other people. So that's why we wrote the book. That's why we put on our events. That's why, if you see me on social media, that's what I do all day long, literally, is help encourage and empower and teach and show other people that they can do it too.
Right? No, I can attest to that. I see you out there working really hard. Who do you help and what do you do to help them?
It's so funny you asked that. I just had an event. We had about 600 people at the Lowe's Coronado Hotel in San Diego. Mel Robbins was there with us. She's the author of the 5-Second Rule. If you haven't read that book, you need to read it.
Is that the picking up the food off the ground? You got to eat it quickly?
That's not that 5-second rule.
Different rule. Okay, got it.
5-second rule, yeah. But if you were to ask anybody in attendance, am I a real estate guy? Yeah, because that's my business. But anybody that wants to succeed in business has to deal with, I think, 3 issues. Number one is their mind. I think that's number one. You have the right mindset, then you can go out and succeed at anything it is that you want to do. But number 2 is the right skills. You have to learn whatever business you're in. It's going to involve sales, and sales involves proper communication. It involves clarity, it involves proper tonality, and it involves a proper conversation. And so really what I teach is applicable to any industry, to any entrepreneurs. My focus right now, however, is real estate agents. So we've got several realtors across the country who are part of our coaching program. And that's what we do. Super.
So you said 3 things though, so I didn't catch them. One was mindset, one was getting the right skills. What was the third one?
I think the third one is issues of the heart. I'm fortunate enough to meet a lot of people and to help a lot of people and coach a lot of people. But us as humans, man, we deal with like garbage. We deal with things that have even happened to us in the past, and situations that hold us back from really believing that we are capable of receiving more in our life. And that was something that was a big hurdle that I had to get over. I had to get over the fact that I'm Hispanic. I had to get over the fact that I was poor. I had to get over the fact that I had a dad that didn't want to hang out anymore. I had to get over the fact that we didn't have any money. I had to get over the fact that we were on welfare. I had to get over all of that Those are issues of the heart. And instead of being a victim and instead of having a pity party, I had to decide that whatever it was that had happened in my past and whatever it was that my family had gone through in the past, I was not going to allow to affect my family in the future. And I'm a big believer in that your family is really you, your spouse, and down. You, your spouse, and down. And that's big for us because culturally, like in the Hispanic community, your family is freaking everybody, and they're allowed to influence you and so forth and so on. And so I just had to make a decision for my future, my wife, my kids, that I was going to deal with and address, the issues of the heart, work through them, and then move on to finally be able to receive what I knew I was destined to receive.
Right. I really like that message. I wish, and thank God for you out there spreading that message, taking, leaving the past where it belongs, taking responsibility for where you are right now, not playing that victim role. I mean, I've never met a wealthy, successful victim. So you've got this three things as a successful entrepreneur. You have to have the right mindset, the right skills, the issue of the heart. What are the biggest mistakes that you see people make when they're implementing your formula for success?
I think the biggest thing is people are afraid to invest in themselves. I think psychologically speaking, so many people have hangups over money. So that they don't even get in the door to learn what it is that they need to learn to improve themselves. And this is across the board. You put 100 people in a room and like 80% of them have a scarcity of money. So they'll never go to a seminar. They'll never invest in themselves. They'll never find a mentor because they're hoarders, right? And it's this thought of what abundance means. Like, everybody wants to go on social media and look on Instagram and, look at all the thought leaders and all that stuff. But then you got to learn, you got to say, okay, wait a minute, time out. Like at what point in time am I going to stop looking for the answer and realize that the problem is within and the answer is within? It's in each and every one of us, And so I think that's the number one thing that people struggle with. I think that there's plenty of great people like yourself who want to help, who want to teach people. I'll tell you right now, if I took your course on how to buy and sell houses, I'll be a millionaire in 12 to 24 months, hands down. Mm-hmm. Hands down. What's going to stop me is the question, what's the cost? And I'm going to tell each and every one of your audience, here is the answer. And I want you all to write this down because I don't know your program, but I'm going to tell you exactly what the cost is. You ready? The cost is who gives a shit. That's the cost. Mm-hmm. That's the cost. And that's how you need to start thinking about this stuff. The cost is whatever the cost is, people. And you cannot allow that to hold you back, because if it holds you back in this area of your life, trust me, money is holding you back in other areas of your life. Your family is sacrificing the way they travel. You're sacrificing the lifestyle that you live. You're sacrificing in the home that you're in right now. You look at those walls, you look at the tile on the kitchen cabinets, and you don't like them, but you don't want to do anything about it because you have a scarcity mindset about money. And I can go on and on and on, but this is the deep-rooted issue that I see holds the most people back, is that they don't even give themselves a chance to learn because they're so attached to this scarcity mindset.
I love that message too. I think we're kindred spirits for sure. I keep on looking for guests that I disagree with to bring onto the show, and I keep finding like-minded people, so you're fantastic. With that said, so it's really easy to say after, I'm playing devil's advocate, putting myself in the audience's shoes that, I think scarcity mindset is a big deal. What's something practical that people could do? Is like, okay, I got it. Danny, you made yours and you've got this great mindset. I'm inspired. What do I do to start chipping away or completely removing that scarcity mindset?
Okay, so this is a simple technique that works. I've seen people double and triple their income literally here in my company by doing this technique. So I created a journal. And in the journal, and you could just do this on a piece of paper, but do it every single day, people. You got to realize that your brain has a portion of your brain called the reticular activating sensor. And that portion of your brain is what dictates what you believe is possible for yourself or not possible for yourself, what you believe is real or not real. It's like, I can tell you that you could fly off a building all you want, but if you believe, nope, I can't fly, I'm going to fall, then that's not only is that reality, but that's what the brain buys into. Well, it's the same thing with money, right? So what I teach people to do, and you can start doing it literally tonight, take the most amount of money that you've ever earned in a year, okay? And you take that number and you multiply it by 3. And it's going to stretch you, and it's going to feel uncomfortable, and it's going to feel like not good. And you're going to write down 25 times a day, I earn blank or more per year. And the blank is 3 times the most amount of money you've ever earned. And here's why that's so important, Matt. It's so important because what people don't realize is that what is a lot to you and I is a little to someone else. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that again. What's a lot to you and I is a little to someone else.
Yep.
And so once you get that, you got to start to realize that what you perceive as a lot or a little, it's 100% in your head. So might as well rewire that. And little by little, as you start writing it every single day, it is the craziest thing in the world that happens. You start meeting the right mastermind people, the right mentors, the right coaches, the right deals start showing up. Literally, they start showing up just to match the outside world with what you are now putting in your inside world. That's the best piece of advice I can give somebody that they could start like right now.
I saw a Chris Rock concert, and he was talking about the difference between being rich and wealthy. And he said, if Bill Gates woke up tomorrow and his bank account had the same balance as Oprah Winfrey, it might inspire a heart attack on his part. Because, right? It's just like, there's always someone that has more and they're looking at your problems like, how small are you? Like, why are you even complaining? What are you dealing with? So, great perspective. Fantastic. So, let's see. I got a few more questions, but let's move on. Tell me about your book, The Resilience Roadmap, and who is that for? The same person that we've been talking about, or tell me about the book.
The book is really my journey because the one thing that we didn't mention is, when the market crashed, I lost everything. Literally, there was a moment where we couldn't even afford rent. We couldn't afford groceries anyways. So the book is about my journey back, and I'll never forget, my wife said, whatever you do, I want you to bounce back 10 times better than you've ever had. And I'm happy to say that I've honored my wife's request. So the book is broken down, and what it does is chapter by chapter, it gives you the steps that you need in order to fulfill your dreams, create the business that you want, succeed at whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, it's literally like chapter 1 is decide to live by faith and not by fear. And that's important for people to understand, because many of us live by fear, right? Mm-hmm. And so I break down what that means. And then, it's about making a plan and taking inspired action. It's literally broken down as a roadmap for people who want to excel in life, build a great business in a step-by-step manner. And that's why I wrote it.
What I did before we started recording, Danny, is I went on to Amazon and I bought 10 of your books. And I'm going to give them away to the audience. And so listen up, this is how you get one. Go to Instagram. I want you to tag Danny Morel and tag Epic Real Estate. And I want you to create a post stating what you liked best about today's interview. And the first 10 people to do that, I'll send you a free copy of Danny's book, The Resilience Roadmap. You're a good guy, dude. You got a great message, and I just want to help you get your word out there, your message out there even more. So if anyone is inspired by what they heard today, what would be the best way, if they wanted to reach out to you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
I mentioned Instagram. I invest a lot of time in Instagram because I have fun on it. For some reason, that's like my one social media platform that I love the most. So find me at Instagram. Just look up Danny Morel, Morel. But then the other thing is, Matt, and I want to invite you as my guest. I'm having an event July 11th, 12th, and 13th. We have Ed Milet coming out, Andy Frisella. If you listen to podcasts, yes, you know who those two are. Gerard Adams, who sold his business for $50 million by the age of 25, and Alex Rodriguez from the New York Yankees. They're all coming. It's a 3-day event, July 11th through 13th. I'd love to have you guys join us. Go to relentlessevent.com and get some information and get your tickets. It's going to be incredible.
Thank you very much. Hey, Danny, it's been a pleasure. thanks for being here today. Let's stay in touch.
We will. I appreciate it and look forward to having you on my show soon.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it as well. Alrighty, I'm Matt Theriault. God bless. To your success. I'll see you next week for another episode of Thought Leader Thursday. Take care.